Scrumble.
Hi, I'm here with little Numa. Numa is a 3-month-old boxer, and she's going to get her nails trimmed tomorrow. In this video, I'm going to go over a nail desensitization conditioning exercise. Now, this basically has a couple of parts, and the first part is what I call the training wheels version. Now, what I probably should have said is stage instead of step. This is a multiple step process in 2 stages. The first stage is we're going to be holding the treat to our puppy's lips before we do whatever the step is. We're going to hold the treat to the lips and then lightly touch the paw. Lift the paw, grasp the paw with the trimmers, all the steps I'm about to talk about. The second stage is where we're going to hold the treat here and touch, and then we're going to give it to our dog, provided they don't give us any cutoff signals. Now, what is a cutoff signal for a dog? Cutoff signal for dogs, especially in this exercise, can be pulling the paw away, turning their head away, ducking, or wanting to move away. That's your puppy or your dog's way of saying, I feel uncomfortable and I don't want this to continue. You need to listen to that and stop. And we got to go back a step and make it easier. So let's say that when you reach for your puppy's paw, he pulls away. Quest is just looking for the treat. But so then I might hold the treat, go back to the training wheels version, holding the treat to their lips, and I might reach halfway, pull my hand back, then release the treat. Do that 2 or 3 times, and then I reach 3/4 of the way, pull back and release the treat. You want your dog seeing you do all these steps, and eventually be able to go all the way, touch their paw, and then you can release the treat. So you don't want to go to the second stage where you're going to be holding the treat here until you can do whatever the step is with holding the treat here, and your dog puppy does not pull its paw away. And that's really important. People skipping through that is probably the most common mistake in this exercise. But eventually I hold it here, I touch the paw, and I give the dog a treat, and the dog looks at touching my paw as what we call a precedent. You're going to touch my paw, and then I get a treat afterwards. You're going to hold my paw, and then I get a treat afterwards. You're going to hold my digit, or you're going to trim my nail, and then I get a treat afterwards. And that's the whole premise for this process, is your dog actually doesn't mind having their nails trimmed, because at each step, we're going teaching them one at a time, and then after each, whatever the iteration is, they get a treat. I have a treat in my hand, and I've got a whole bunch of treats in my hand. What I'm going to do, hey, Numa, come here, sweetie. We're going to basically, I'm going to just do this for camera presence so you guys see her better. I'm going to put her in a sit. So I'm holding a treat to her lips, and I'm going to touch her paw. See how she went, she stopped chewing? That's what's called a cutoff signal. As soon as I touch it, I release the treat into her mouth. Yes. All right, so I'm going to do that with all the paws, and we want to get her used to touching a dog's paws can be scary for them. If you hold their paws, they're trapped. And so that can cause them to feel uncomfortable and want to, and make it into an unpleasant experience. A lot of us pin our dogs down when we're trimming their nails, and because they're wiggling, because they're saying, I don't like it. And this is where a lot of dogs will start to bite. So what I'm doing now is basically just getting used to when a human reaches and touches your paw, I'm distracted with the treat, and then I get the treat at the end of it. And I'm just doing a light touch to begin with. And so she's getting very comfortable with it. And we use a lot of treats or kibble for this. All right, the next step is I'm going to kind of keep the treat here, and I'm going to touch, and then I'm going to give her the treat. Because we don't want to always, your groomer doesn't have 3 arms, so they can't do that, hold the treat to their lips. So this is something you're going to do. And this is an important point. If you say, well, I'm not going to trim my dog's nails, I'm going to have somebody else do it, this exercise will help that person too, and your groomer will appreciate it. So I'm holding it kind of here to kind of distract her. But you see, that's a little bit of a cutoff. So, and I think there she's just saying, I don't know what you're doing. So what I would do is I would keep on holding the treat here until I can touch all 4 paws and that she's comfortable with that. And so see if I can hold it here. And a little bit of a cutoff signal, but I think that's more of a, what are you doing? You're reaching near me. But again, that can be something that causes dogs to be uncomfortable as well. Now I'm putting her as sit just to make it easier for us to, there we go, for you to see what I'm doing in this video. All right, so the first stage, you're going to hold the treat to her lips, touch all the paws with 1 finger only, and don't do anything beyond that. Touch and then release the treat. And after a while, then you're going to kind of keep her distracted, touch, and then release the treat. And eventually, the treat's going to be here. She's looking over here. And again, that I think in her case, it's just because what are you doing reaching? All right, so that's the first stage is just touching the paws and getting them comfortable with us touching the paws. And again, you're going to need to use a lot of treats for this. Let me break this treat into little pieces. Your treat should be as small as you can get away with and as low value as you can get away with. Otherwise, we're overpaying our dogs, which our dogs will like, but then create some problems later. All right, the next stage is we're going to go ahead. I'm going to hold the treat here and lift the paw up. Now, this is, again, something you can eventually get to the point where you're going like this, lift the paw up, and then give the dog a treat. But you saw she was kind of protesting a little bit. She's never had her paws trimmed before, so this is a new experience for her. I'm going to do it for all the paws. And there's nothing wrong with going back to this training wheels version that I'm doing right here, where I'm holding a treat first, and then lifting up her legs, because that's what we're going to have to do. And be gentle when you're doing this. All right, so let's do this last one. All right, so then we release the treat. There's one treat per touch. All right, let's now I'm going to try to put her in a sit for this next one, but your dog doesn't have to sit, whatever they're comfortable doing. And also a good point, don't do this when your dog is super energetic. So I'm going to pick up the paw and I'm going to kind of separate the digit and then release that treat. And you saw there's a little bit of pull away there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again and to separate that digit. And one more, you got 4 paws, four digits, there we go. And a little bit of you saw she pulled her paw back. Pulling the paw back at any point is your indication that you're going a little fast, you need to back up. I'm doing this at light speed, this is the very first time she's done it, and you shouldn't expect to be able to get this far with your puppy the first time you do this. This would be something I recommend you do probably 2 or 3 times a day in short practice sessions. Maybe you're just doing the touches the first time. The second one, you're doing the lifts. Now I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and hold up the digit like that, because that's what we're gonna have to do. And you saw a little bit of a cutoff signal. So that's her way of saying I'm uncomfortable. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that again and lift this paw. And so she paused, but she didn't pull away, so that she's feeling more comfortable about this. And eventually I'm gonna kind of do like that, pull up the next digit, there we go. So she's just like, I don't mind it when David's handling my feet, because it means that I'm getting this treat. And so again, 1 treat per touch. There you go. But again, we would like to get to the point where you're not having, there's some crumbs right there for sweetie, where you don't have to hold the treat at their lips the whole time. Again, I'm going really fast. Now, the next couple stages I'm not going to show with her because we don't have trimmers here, and this is way too early for her to do it. You should probably not expect to get to this stage until you're probably doing this exercise 3 to 5 times. So let's say that this is the nail. So I'm getting her used to, again, and I'll holding up that nail. Yeah, should we do that again? So here I'm holding up, separating the nail, holding it up. Oh, look at that. You let go of the treat. And see, now she's much more docile. Then I would put the trimmers around that nail. I'm not actually gonna trim, that's a weird sensation. So this is the trimmers, this nail, you're just gonna go like that. Just grasp it and then give her a treat or release the treat if you're holding it. This might be a 2-person thing. And I'm gonna do that with all the nails without trimming. Now she has the benefit of being black and white. Her white paws have translucent nails. If it's a black nail, you need to just go a little bit at a time, and a little tip for black nail dogs, when you're trimming it, you would trim a little bit at a time, and when you see a little dot in the middle of the nail, that's when you stop. You're getting close to the quick. If you cut it kind of the quick, it'll bleed, it'll be painful for your dog, they won't want to do it again. But black nail dogs are a little bit harder. I have a Dalmatian, so I have black and white. All right, so after we've gotten them used to that, then we're gonna basically, and sometimes for this stage, the first couple times I get higher value treats, maybe a warm chicken, roast beef that I've chopped up into little pieces like this, and microwave for 5 seconds. The temperature of food is more important to dogs than the taste. Smell is number 1, and if you microwave it, it releases the smell and it's warm. So I'm gonna basically hold up the nail, trim just a tiny bit off, and then give her like 1 or 2 or 3 pieces of that warm chicken or the roast beef. So she's like, okay, I'm gotten used to it, desensitized, because you've already been doing this on my nails without trimming. Now you're trimming off a tiny little bit, and I get 3 pieces of this really tasty food. And then if you only can do 1 paw, that's fine. Do 1 paw, maybe 1 nail. If the dog is getting protesting, go at your dog's pace. You should be trimming your puppy's nails as a puppy about every 2 to 3 weeks, as an adult dog about once a month. And so this is something you're going to need to do a lot. You want your puppy to be relaxed. I've had puppies that have done this exercise that they'll basically be half asleep, and you trim the nails and they don't even get up, and you're just giving them a piece of kibble or whatever afterwards. Now the first time, like I said, I use the warm chicken or the warm roast beef, but after a while then you just use a regular treat like I'm using here. Yes, and you're gonna get a lot of treats because you're being a very good subject. And so eventually you trim those nails down further. Now when you see the translucent nail, you see the part where you can see through. When it gets cloudy, don't cut into that, that's the quick. Now what I like to use is something called a Dremel. A Dremel is like an emery file on a drill, and so it is a circular deal. Now when I do that, that's a couple extra paces. So when I do that, come here, sweetie. I know I stopped giving you treats, so she's like, I'm out of here. Let's come over here. This is a giant treat. Yes, you're gonna be a giant boxer eventually, but not right now. So eventually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the Dremel over here. I'm gonna have a treat like this, and I'm gonna simulate. Let's see how good my sound effect voices are. Zzz, and then I release the treat. So you're gonna have it on and off for 1 second behind your back. Zzz, and you're gonna do that until you can eventually go zzz, and then give her the treat after without holding the treat to her lips. So that's just getting her desensitized to the sound of the Dremel. The next step is I would actually take the Dremel with it off, touch the nail, and then give her a treat. So it's not on, we're not Dremeling anything, we're just getting her used to this machine coming towards me, touching it, nothing bad happens. or nothing that the dog doesn't like. The last stage is I actually doing the Dremel. And when I'm doing that, again, I'm doing it when the dog is nice and calm, and I'm only doing it, just touching it for the fraction of a second. That's a weird sensation. It's a vibration. Your dog may want to pull away. You might have to use the higher value treats, the roast beef or something for this stage. But after a while, if you do it right, the dog will like that vibration, because that vibration means I'm about to get a little tasty treat. Now, when you're doing a Dremel, you should never hold it for longer than 3 seconds. It will heat up the nail, and at that point, it won't cool down right away when you take the Dremel away. It can burn the quick, and that'll be a real big problem. So, zzz, zzz. And the nice thing about the Dremel is you can kind of round it off so you don't get those scratch marks when your puppy, thank you for jumping up. That's exactly what I was going to demonstrate. So if she jumped up my arm, I get those scratch marks when you cut because you have a right angle. So I'd recommend you practice this a couple of times a day, especially when your puppy's young, because if you make it into a foundational exercise where they're comfortable, then getting the nails trimmed is no big deal. Well, this is new. How do you say it again?
Numa.
Numa, and this is, look at the cute little Numa. Come over here, let's go closer to the camera. And this is Numa, and these are some tips and tricks you can use if you want to make sure that your puppy is comfortable, or adult dog, comfortable having their nails trimmed.
Quest, you are a goofball.